Our story today is called The Present. God knew that his secret rescue plan could only work if Abraham trusted him completely. God had to make sure Abraham would do whatever he asked. So a few years later, God asked Abraham to give him a present. What kind of present do you think God asked Abraham to give him? Yeah, we're going to find out. Abraham liked giving presents to God. He gave God his animals. They were called sacrifices, and they were a way to say, I love you to God. But this time, God didn't want a lamb or a goat. God wanted Abraham to give him something more, much more. He wanted Abraham to give him his son, his only son, the son he loved, Isaac. Do you think that would have been hard for Abraham to sacrifice his only son? Yeah, I think so. Put his boy on the altar and kill him as a sacrifice? How could God want him to do such a terrible thing? Abraham didn't understand, but he knew that God was his father who loved him, and so Abraham trusted him. Early the next morning, Abraham and Isaac set off. They climbed the steep, stony trail up the mountain. Isaac carried the wood on his back. His father carried the knife and the coals. Papa, Isaac said, we have everything except we forgot the lamb for the sacrifice. God will give us the lamb, son, Abraham said. They built an altar and laid the wood on top. Abraham asked his son to climb on top of the wood. Isaac didn't understand, but he knew his father loved him, and so he trusted him. He climbed up onto the altar, and Abraham tied his boy to the wood. Isaac didn't struggle or try to run away. He just lay there quietly and didn't make a sound. Do you think you would have been scared if you were in Isaac's position? I would have been scared too. Everything was ready. Abraham took the knife. Tears were filling up in his eyes. Pain was filling up in his heart. His hand was shaking. He lifted the knife high into the air. Stop, God said. Don't hurt the boy. I want him to live and not die. I know now that you love me because you would have given me your only son. Abraham felt his heart leap with joy. He unbound Isaac and folded him in his arms. Great sobs shook the old man's body. Scalding tears filled his eyes. And for a long time, they stayed there like that, in each other's arms, the boy and his dad. Suddenly, Abraham saw a ram caught in some brambles, the sacrifice. God had given them what they needed just in time. The ram would die, so Isaac didn't have to. And so Abraham sacrificed the ram instead of his son. So what did they sacrifice instead of his son? Yeah, the ram. And as they sat there on the mountaintop, watching the embers of the fire die in the cool night air, the stars above them sparkling in the velvet sky, God helped Abraham and Isaac understand something. God wanted his people to live, not die. God wanted to rescue his people, not punish them. But they must trust him. One day, someone will be born into your family, God promised them, and he will bring happiness to the whole world. God was getting ready to give the whole world a wonderful present. It would be God's way to tell his people, I love you. So what was God's present that he was going to give the whole world? Yeah, he was going to send his son Jesus. Many years later, another son would climb another hill carrying wood on his back. Like Isaac, he would trust his father and do what his father asked. He wouldn't struggle or run away. Who was he? God's son, his only son, the son he loved, the Lamb of God. Okay, that was our story, and now we are going to do our craft. So today we are going to make a picture of a ram, and the ram is important because remember that is the sacrifice that Abraham and Isaac made instead of making Isaac the sacrifice. Okay, so to start off with, you're going to need one piece of construction paper. I chose blue, but you can choose whatever color you want, and then a black marker so that you can draw the outline of your ram. Okay, now that I have the outline of the ram drawn on my construction paper, next I'm going to take 8 cotton balls and I'm going to glue them onto the body of the ram. Okay, now that I have my cotton balls glued onto the body of my ram, next I'm going to take some pipe cleaners and then I'm going to cut them in order to make the horns on my ram. Okay, now that I have made my horns on my ram, next I'm going to take some popsicle sticks and then make the legs. Okay, now that I've glued the popsicle sticks on the bottom of my rim to make the legs, now I am finished and my rim is complete. So thanks for watching, and I hope y'all have a great Sunday.